Hi everyone, it's Vindicta here, and I'm going to be creating a TvZ 211 guide against Zerg. Now, this build has been around for quite a while now. Everyone's been doing it. A lot of people have seen beyond doing it, and the build itself is honestly really pretty good. A lot of people don't actually feel comfortable doing it. They almost feel limited because it's almost like that's the only build I have to do. Or also, a lot of people don't really know exactly how to transition out of the build properly, or what's ideal, the ideal amount of pressure to conduct when you do your first medevac push. So I'm going to include a link in the description, or a build order list in the description below, where it's going to give you pretty much benchmarks you want to hit, supply timings, and stuff like that. Now, as we start early in the game here, with this game, I'm going to talk about the late game a little bit. As you can see, we get into the late game a little bit. And then I'm going to show another game where we actually go through the late game, and I can show you guys how to really transition. Because what I've seen a lot in a lot of build order guides is they pretty much tell you how to get to a certain spot, but they don't tell you what to do afterward. And while I do understand that after a certain point, it's up to you to decide based on your games, because everyone's game is different, all circumstances are different. I want to be able to give you guys a bit of an idea of how the late game should play out, and as a Terran, what ideal composition you want to have dependent on the style you're playing against, and also just different situations you might find yourself in, and most importantly is how to transition successfully from the mid game into the late game. Now, with 2-1-1, one major problem I've heard from players, including myself and others friends of mine in GM, is what's the ideal amount of pressure to hit? Do I want to drop Do I want to drop my double medevac into your main base, or do I want to go and push the front of your base and maybe try to kill lings or kill creep, or take out creep? Now, with 2-1-1, you're really relying on this double medevac drop as the pressure, as to tell the Zerg, you can't attack me. I have this outside your base. I don't want you, so you can take your third base behind it while applying pressure, which is what makes this build really good. However, an issue that I have, an issue that a lot of people that I know have, is losing a significant amount of your Marines, and either getting destroyed by a counter push, immediately falling behind, or now being unable to apply pressure, and now you feel like you're behind in the game. Now, with this Reaper here, speed usually finishes around this 3 minutes. Earliest is about 3 minutes, latest is about 3:30. And Pig here, or not Pig, this barcode Zerg here, who I don't know who it is gonna finish at about 3:20. Now, the Zerg, most of the time the Zerg knows you're not going to be really trying, or you're not going to be applying pressure with the Reaper, because you should know when the speed finishes, which is around 3 minutes. So this Reaper itself, it loses its value quickly because you can't really pressure with it once the Zerg gets the speed. But however, this Reaper gives you surprisingly a lot of map awareness, regardless of whether there's speedlings out or not. And you can place it at the fourth base, in front of the base, to see whether Zerglings move out or their opponent's taking a fourth. And with this Reaper, like I did here, you can actually check the queen count, how far the creep spread has gone, and the amount of Zerglings he has. You should never be afraid to lose a Reaper if it's for a scouting purpose, if you're getting value out of it. If you lose your Reaper and you see, okay, my opponent's got a lot of Zerglings and he's moving out across the map, then it's fine to lose the Reaper and you shouldn't worry too much about it. However, you need to try your best to not lose the Reaper early game because of the scouting information it gives you, because there's a lot of small things that you can read from your opponent, whether it's the link count, queen count, the timing of his base, or the amount of gases he has. There's so many things that can give you can tell you what your opponent is doing, what he plans to do. Now, I'm going to pause here. One thing that this Zerg is doing a really good job of is to see the spread of the Overlords here. When I watched this game earlier, of course, every Zerg is gonna send their overlords out, obviously, and put them in a position. But the way these overlords are positioned are probably the most ideal way, like what every Zerg player is aiming for or what they're trying to do. Now, if you look at his vision, he's got map awareness pretty much everywhere, except for maybe this spot here. So if you're the type of player that likes to drop into the main immediately, taking a path like this might be ideal for you. But one thing you guys need to do on your own is, especially because you guys are varying leagues, is to see where the popular overlord positioning are in your games and to get in the matchup for you, and to decide an optimal route on where to send an unscouted drop. Or if you build a Viking to snipe out some overlords, decide where would overlords be for you to kill with your Viking. And so this guy, he's got a lot of vision. He's gonna see if you move out to the front, so he'll know if you're trying to push the front of his base and trying to minimize the creep. The overlords here can see whether you're trying to do a backdoor drop or maybe trying to do a drop into the main. So the Zerg opponent, if he knowing that you're gonna do 2-1-1, is gonna expect that. There's only two options you really have to do: either drop immediately or push the creep. Now, for me personally, dropping into the base and trying to do immediate damage isn't something I really enjoy because I'm afraid of losing my units. I'm afraid of getting sniped by like 5 queens and bam, I'm already behind, and there's really not much I can do. And that's a lot of issue that people have. They immediately lose their army and they're like, well, shit, what do I do now? And you're immediately behind. And so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna send these two to the front. And what I like to do is clear creep. Now, it's hard. With all these lings and all these queens, you're bound to lose units. And if you're not careful, you're gonna lose a lot of units. And that's one of the hard part about this build is it's great for people with really good control, like Beyond. It benefits them greatly having these quick Stim Marine drops because with their kiting abilities, with their micro, they're able to snipe a lot of Zerglings, a lot of queens, and not lose much at all. And while that's great for them, there's a lot of people like us who really don't have that optimal control. Will tend to lose more units than really they should have or really necessary. And one thing I want to say before going into the situation here is don't be afraid to attack. If you want to work on your control and you really want to get better at kiting and losing minimal units doing this build, you shouldn't be afraid to put yourself in a situation where you have to control, because if you don't, how else are you going to learn your micro? How are you going to learn to control? And that's a problem a lot of people have. I see tons of GM Terrans streaming, and when they play a Zerg, the quickest reaction for them is to load into a medivac and fly away, and either A, your Widowmine kills all of your army, or B, the Widowmine kills all the Zerg army and all you did was load up and fly away. And a lot of people do that. Why? Because a lot of people don't have the control. A lot of people would choose not to lose a game and to fly away than to put themselves in a situation where they have to control regardless of whether or not they're going to win or lose. And that's one thing that's probably the most important thing about this build and about this game in general, is putting yourself in a situation where you have to practice it, or else you're never going to practice it and you're going to stay in the same place the entire time. You're going to be a GM Terran who can't control his Marines because you keep choosing to load them into your medivac and fly away rather than throwing some balls and saying, you know what, I'm going to fight these lings, I'm going to fight these queens, I'm going to try to do some damage. And yeah, so with this push, I'm going to do that. And while you don't have to do that, if you personally would rather not do it, there's other ways to apply pressure, like clearing this creep here. Because this creep, if you're not clearing it and you do this drop and you lose all your units and he's doing a good job of spreading his creep, when you push out with a 1-1, he's going to be over here at this ramp. And what you're going to do is you're going to be afraid of pushing out more onto creep because you don't want to get surrounded by lings. You don't want to lose your army. You have no map awareness, no vision. He does because he has all the creep spread. And when you hit your 1-1 push, it goes from being able to do damage to being able to do nothing because you haven't cleared any of the creep and you can't control your army either. And so when you move out, the option you have is to either back away or die. And so that's why I personally would recommend clearing the creep. Really focusing on killing it. Really focus on not so much even killing the creep tumors, but leaving your Marines literally right outside the creep range so that you can prevent it from spreading more. because you're not gonna lose this drop unless you're not paying attention. There's not gonna be 20 mutas that fly by and just kill your drop and you're dead. If you're watching your army, if you're being careful and you leave it out there, not too close to the creep, obviously, really distantly, but enough to be able to see when he starts spreading it, then you're gonna be able to prevent it. He's gonna feel pressure. You're gonna be like, okay, I can't spread my creep this way, so I'm gonna have to go this way, or I'm gonna focus on spreading it this way. And now by you're literally doing nothing. You're sitting there on a ramp doing nothing, and you're doing honestly a lot more damage than a lot of people even do when they send their drops into your base or into the opponent's base. Like when you push out with your army, you're gonna be like, wow, there's no creep here. Like, holy shit, I'm free. I don't gotta get surrounded by a ling. There's no banelings rolling into my army, and that's great. You want to feel that way because it's a mind game. It's almost like you feel like you can all of a sudden control your units. Like you can all of a sudden take these godly engagements because there's no fucking creep. Like that's what you want. You want that, and that's what I stress upon a lot with doing this build. Now here, I'm practicing my unit control. I'm trying to fly my medivac. I'm trying to kite, and yeah, I'm losing marines and I lost a medivac, and I've killed probably. Let's say that's even in terms of mineral loss there, but I'm never gonna get better if I don't put myself in that situation, and I could always just sit outside and pressure creep, but I also want to work on my unit control. And so there's really two ways you can handle this situation. You can decide if this game you want to apply the pressure, or if this game you just want to sit back and kill some creep and whatnot. And so for me, because I chose the other reason, now I'm gonna put myself in a situation where his creep is gonna go far, and I'm gonna have to be able to clear it and take battles on it, and that's improving me as a player specifically. So if you're in a let's say today you're feeling like you want to really practice and try stuff out and not just move yourself up in the ladder, don't be afraid to go in there. Don't be afraid to kill marine or zerglings, take a battle to practice your control. If today's your try hard day, or if it's a tournament and you want to be as efficient as you can without throwing away units, then pressure the base, sit around there, clear the creep, or prevent the creep from being spread so that when you push later on, you're in the clear. Now the transition here, the Zerg player, if you see the Ling Banes in double Evo, he's gonna go Ling Bane Muta, and he's gonna be taking these gases. On this map specifically, what's really great for Terran actually on this map is the creep really only goes one way. It only goes one way, which is this way, the main route basically. There's really, I mean, you could go this way, but like I said, this is longer. This way is longer. Maybe this way is shorter, but his creep's gonna go this way or this way too. This fourth base is pretty safe. Killing this rock is gonna take you a while, at least in the early game, and in the late game he's gonna have mutas. Or in mid late game he's gonna have mutas or corruptors. So maybe dropping there or pushing through that way isn't the best. But yeah, so your opponent, he's going to be going into Mutiling Bane. His 1-1 should finish before yours, and 2-2 should be on the way before you, and that's okay. I started my 1-1 about 5:30. That's when you want to start your 1-1. Your 1-1 wants to be started at 5:30 so that you can hit your benchmark timings. Because at 7:30, you want to hit your first push. You want to apply pressure, and as soon as your 1-1 finishes, you want to start 2-2 to keep up with upgrades, because the Zerg is going to be ahead. For the early to mid game, third game it changes. You take the lead because it's easier for a Terran to take start to 3-3 upgrades than it is for Zerg because of the hive tech. Now I'm going to resume the game here. 5 racks, 3 command centers. I lost quite a bit of units. I'm going to sit back here for now. I'm going to get my corruptor, my combat shield. I could honestly even get away with going back in, applying a little bit more pressure. Of course, one mistake that I made this game was not being sure or wary of when the mutas are coming out. Right now, by doing this quick pressure here, I shouldn't worry about mutas. They shouldn't be out yet. However, when you hit your 1-1 timing, mutas will be out about then, or corruptors. And so when I push around 1-1, I'll explain what to do there. But orbital, I'm gonna start switch my add-ons. I'm gonna get my armory, because you want to get your armory about midway through your engineering base. That's just a mechanical aspect of the game. That's pretty much when you want to get that. Doing these add-ons here. This pressure here also helps me take my third comfortably. I can apply pressure. I can keep his lings at home. I can keep his attention at home, and I can secure my third base safely without losing too many units, or without worrying about some ling run by where I lose all my SCVs. And here, I'm choosing to take the engagement. I'm scanning to clear some creep, which sadly I wasn't able to do, which is my fault because I shouldn't have scanned being that far away from the base. But here, I'm trying to put units. I'm trying to kill shit. And while I've killed more than my opponent, I'm probably not doing the most optimal amount of damage. But this is me attempting to practice my control and learn. I chose to build double liberator after my 4 medivacs. With these liberators, you can either push or harass or use them in your main push. 2-2 started a little bit before 7:30. That's good. That's a benchmark you want to hit right there. And because of the amount of units I lost earlier with my 1-1, that's my pressure. Now, this guy could do a better job with clearing his creep, or spreading his creep, but he's going to be just taking out. He's going to go Ling Bane. 2-2's on the way. 2-2's on the way for me as well. He's going to be taking his 4th. When you take your 3rd, he's taking his 4th. Always know that. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that, but really understand. Don't freak out if he's got a 4th. Don't freak out. Don't assume, shit, he's got a 4th. It's going to be Ultras. It's going to be Broodlords. It's going to be Infestor. He's going to kill me. Like, there's so much time left before he even gets Hive. He cannot afford, once he gets his 4th base, to just get Hive and get Ultras and kill you. It's not going to happen, so you don't got to worry about it. If it doesn't happen to me at like top 50 GM, it's not going to happen to you. So don't worry about it. Now here, I'm going to apply some pressure. I'm at 1-1. He's at 1-1. I'm not expecting him to get 2-2 for a little bit. And since we're even on upgrades, I'm really trying to prevent this creep from spreading. I'm going to siege my liberators here. I'm not going to move up the creep too far because I don't want to die. But I'm going to stay here. I'm going to drop a scam, kill the spore. I'm just going to apply some pressure. I want to make my presence known. I want him to feel like I'm there. Because if he knows psychologically he's outside my base, I don't know what kind of army he's got. I don't know what kind of pressure he's doing. He's distracted more. And he's more inclined to make mistakes that way. For me, or for you as a Terran, you're just outside clearing some creep. You don't gotta take a fight. You know what your intentions are. You don't have to feel like you gotta go in there and do damage, or you don't have to feel like you have to take a fight. If he starts coming at you and you gotta pull the hell out of there, pull it the hell out of there, because you're not trying to take an engagement. Let me get some water. I am not used to talking that much. Now, 7 Raxes. I've got my 6th and 7th on the way. See, he's gonna try to hit the pressure there. Good. 2 good Widowmine hits. And this is what I want to stress. When he attacking on slow, on no creep, even just this, like this here, I mean, it's a little creep here, but it slows his army down drastically. And if his army is slower, your Widowmines can hit. Your Widowmines can hit Banelings that are rolling past. They can hit Mutas. You're most likely to hit good Widowmine splash. And attacking slow on, attacking like this on creep is also not something you want to do. No Zerg wants to do this. This is like attacking off creep like this in a ball to against Marine Liberator Siege is like a Terran player attacking a Protoss army without Stim. You do that, you're gonna fucking die. And that's what happened to him. He's dead. He's got nothing. And I could just go right in, but of course, he's a Zerg. He's gonna have hatcheries, he's gonna have things coming out. He's gonna be spending, his money is low. His money is low, man. He's got 18 Lings on the way, 18 Banes, a 4th base here, and I don't got medivacs. So after that, the safest thing that I could have done was just pull back. But I've decided I'm gonna go keep pushing in there. I'm gonna pretty much take a gamble. I'm really gonna try to kill some stuff here, and like I said, he doesn't have much. I was able to control against those few Banelings, and these few Banelings here too, and so I'm doing a lot of damage. I'm clearing stuff out. I'm clearing the creep. Look, all the creep is cleared here from this path, and now I can afford to just send my Marines out. Just chain, just chain push. Take my 4th behind all this pressure. Now, you don't want to overextend, because then obviously you're gonna lose a lot of units. So depending on your player, you really gotta decide when the best time is to pull back. And so that's something, that's one of those things I can't tell you personally. I can't tell you, all right, like 30 seconds into your push, you gotta pull back. Like, no, that's for you to see. If you gotta make the decisions. If you see your opponent, his Zerglings and Banelings are coming out now, and you don't want to throw away the army, then go home. Because if you try to risk too much and overextend too much, you're gonna throw the game, and now an advantage you just had just died out. And so that's something I did here. I threw away Marines that had no health, and one Ling could have killed them all. Like, there was no reason for me to do that. I got greedy. I wanted to apply a lot of pressure, and now I lost an army. And yeah, maybe it's not enough for me to have thrown the game, but imagine yourself in a situation where that happened and you threw the game. You don't want to be in that situation. So decision making is very, very key, not just in TvZ, but in all your matchups in the game itself. Now here, I'm a little bit behind. This fourth base is a little bit behind. I don't really have the gas for 3-3. So I'm gonna wait. I'm building Thors. I'm building Widowmine because that's how I like to play this matchup, specifically against Beetling Bane. Because with the Baneling buff, they can kill a lot of Marines, man. And the Widowmines do a lot of splash. Thors tank. The Thor just holds position, and the Banelings gotta go around it, and you can kill so many Banelings before they get to you by doing that. And so personally, I prefer the Widowmine Thor choice over the double Starport Liberator. Now once you take this fourth, I'm gonna start 3-3 here at about 10:30. So I didn't start it immediately afterward. It's all dependent on your situation, but you really want to start it as quick as you can. And the reason why I say that is because he's gonna get Hive soon. He's gonna be going for Hive at this time. He's got 5 bases. Like, if he's really on it, he's gonna go for Hive. If it's an evened out game, and you haven't really done a whole lot of damage, he's gonna be going into Hive. And so you really want to start your 3-3 ahead of time, because there's a little gate. There's this little like time period where you can potentially even kill him as he's transitioning into ultras, because he doesn't have 3-3, you have 3-3. There's no ultras out yet, there's no upgrades out yet, and so that's your perfect chance to kill him. Now, I've been clearing creep this whole game. I've been on the offensive. Look at where the creep's at. It's all over here. And even the part where I didn't go kill, he's been pressured the whole game. There's no creep here. Sure, there's some creep over here, but it's not halfway across the map because you didn't clear it at all. And so when you push out, you really want to have a scan or two with your army here. You want to have a scan or two, and you really want to clear the creep. Now, I'm going to continue macroing at home, getting this planetary here. And see these stories, these Widowmines, it's working out for me. This is an off-creep engagement. These Banelings are slow as hell. They are slow as hell. And while he's like trying to get all the way around to the back of your army where your Marines are most likely going to be, your Marines can kill a lot of it. Now this engagement wasn't the best. I had a smaller army. I think I was about 20 supply below where really the ideal count would be, and 28 supply below him. But I made a pretty good engagement. Why? Because he chose to attack off creep, and even though his engagement on creep would have been a lot better, or he would have won on creep for sure, he still evened out this here. So that's just, you gotta really be cautious of when your opponent's supply and your supply, and understanding when you can take an engagement. But going back to what I said earlier, putting yourself in situations where you have to know will help you with actually knowing when. The feeling, like this instinct, like, okay, this guy's got too much supply, I need to back up now and get back fight. It's game sense. But the only way you can get there is really by practicing and by putting the 100%. Now here, one thing, I'm going to start my Starport, my Fusion Core. You can start it earlier, you can start it later. It's dependent, again, on your opponent. I've seen my opponent, he's been dumping all of his gas into Banelings, into replenishing Banelings, into replenishing Mutas. There is no way he's going to be able to get Ultras if you keep trading like this. If you keep trading like this, you can smack on some more barracks. You can kill some more Banelings. Just so much you can clear and creep. You don't have to be afraid to attack because there's no Ultras out. Now when there's Ultras out, that's when the game changes. You're gonna have to play defensive now because your opponent has the lead. And when there's ultras out, that's when you want to start doing drops, because you'll have enough bases to where you'll be able to replenish an 8 medivac drop that you lose, just Marines. It's no big deal, okay? If you lose your whole army, that's a different deal. You're dead. But while you're taking to your ideal composition, Liberators, Ghost, you want to be able to apply pressure against the Zerg until you feel comfortable with an ideal army, and you start clearing creep and moving out. And late game TvZ, super methodical. It's almost like you're playing against Protoss. The army can do so much devastating damage because of all the abilities and all the tanks. So it's not. You have to be really careful. And I will for sure make a video. I'm not sure if the next video or sometime down the road, where I touch upon late game specifically, because I know late game kills so many people. It kills me. It kills just about every Terran in TvZ and TvP, and so I'll make sure to touch upon that. But for now, we're gonna be focusing on 2-on-1 and the push here. Creep's cleared. This is a desperate attack here. This is like when you're contained by Protoss on 2 bases and you're going for a doom drop. If your opponent is doing this and this time of the game, this is desperate. He's trying to really get himself back into the game, and so when you see that coming, you should tell yourself, okay, he's getting desperate now, so I know he's not too ahead. You're reading your opponent. It's a mind game. It's like, all right, you're doing this because I know you're behind. Do some Zerg players like to do that in general? Yeah, but they're never gonna do it if their army is. They're never gonna do it unless you're desperate. If their army is this small, and they're being pushed at, because they're trying to draw your attention back. Sensor towers would help. This is something I should have done. Just one here, one over here. But as a Terran tier, you want to apply pressure onto the most recent base. This is the most exposed, the most recent base, so this is the one I want to apply pressure to. I don't want it to kick off, because this is a gold base. He's going to get ultras and all this stuff. Now I got to deal with the link counterattack here. When stuff like this happens, you just drop whatever's happening here in the map. Whatever's happening here, just drop it. If your whole army's over there, send it back. Because what's going to happen, he's going to attack you with this stuff, and then he's going to burrow and fester you and fungal growth you, and you're gone, because one link run by distracted you. Now you're dead, and that happens to everyone. And so with this game, as much as there are a lot of risks to take for benefit, there's so many situations where I tell myself it's better safe than sorry, and that's true for TvZ specifically. Now this is link run by doing a decent amount of damage, but not too much, so I'm in the clear. If we check worker count here, it's about even. Income, he's ahead because he's got the gold base, and he denied a lot of mining in my mineral here. But like I said, I've been killing so many banlings. He's having to replenish them. He's got to replenish mutas. He's got to take these gases. You don't got to worry about ultras, and that's game sense too. If you know you haven't been killing enough mutas, enough creep, enough banlings, then expect ultras to be coming to you, because after that, or once those come out, the game entirely changes. The game is completely different. But if you've been killing so many banelings like I have here, killing a lot of mutas, you shouldn't be afraid you shouldn't be afraid of ultras coming out. And if you really are, drop a scan of the main. Drop a scan wherever you've seen the layer at, so you know for sure. And dropping a scan is honestly so important, knowing when tech goes down, because as much as they're with TvZ for Zergs, yeah, they have an ideal time in their head when they want hive, but there's so many games where they're gonna get into the situation where it's not gonna happen. They're not gonna get the hive when they want it, and that happens to you too. You're not gonna get your 4th when you want it. You're gonna get your 3/3 when you want it. It's all dependent on the game itself. But there's just certain things, certain timings, or certain not times in the game, but moments in the game. It's not a time specific thing like 15 minutes in the game is when ultras come out. It's more like I haven't traded enough for gas valued units, which means he could get ultras at throwing this time right now, and that's timing. That's more timing, or that's momentary. That's the circumstances of your game, and so there are signs that give you that. There's not a 15-minute hives out, ultras out, I'm dead. It's more like I said, knowing when you haven't been trading enough gas, or knowing when your opponent is mining enough gas to do that. So here, game's dead. I pushed out his wall. He doesn't have this base here. Two things or a couple things I would have preferred to have done differently, or things I don't want you guys to do from what I've seen or from what I've done in this game specifically. The liberators. You want to get these earlier for you guys, or not just for you guys, but most of the time, because for my playstyle is applying a lot of pressure. It's clearing creep. I keep trading, and I end up trading better than he does because I can take better engagements either off creep or against banelings. And while that's true for me, that may not be true for you. And knowing that specifically, you want to stay at home and only attack either when you have enough supply or the ideal composition, instead of playing almost fearless and going into your opponent's base and just assuming that you can trade better. Because I have decent control, not the best, but I have decent enough. And judging by my opponent's control, I notice, okay, I can trade. I can do this. I can do damage. I can do all this stuff, like, because I have a superior control to my opponent. And if that's an advantage you have, really press it. Pressure that advantage. If he's attacking your army off creep sloppy, then keep taking those battles off creep. Like, really press those advantages, because you want to abuse your opponent playstyles. They're slacking, or what they're lacking of, I mean. And being able to read that quickly in the game is something you need to do. You need to be able to analyze not just what your opponent is doing, but your opponent's playstyle, because that's equally important as to what they're doing, because everyone plays differently. A lot of Terrans play differently, and we know that, and it's true for Zergs as well. Let's see how long we have here. So that's gonna be it for me. Now what you guys can do, if you guys have any questions, or actually a lot of advice, because I know this video isn't that great, really comment it. Give me it. I want to know what to change, what to make different, what to improve off. Maybe play a game or something like that. Or maybe show a better game, honestly. Or and if you guys have questions specifically, ask me. In the description, I'll include build order, certain benchmarks you want to hit, and I'll also include a file of multiple games against different kinds of players in different circumstances for you guys to see personally. And then after that, what I would recommend you guys do first is hit the benchmarks correctly, thoroughly in the game against an AI. And then, while that's an obvious thing to do, you want to be able to do that in the game. And just don't take your own playstyle into account when you're following these build orders, because these build orders don't win you the game. You win yourself the game. And you can follow a build order like a freaking robot, but if you don't adapt it to the way you play, you're gonna get murdered, because you have to be able to make these changes. You got to make changes against your opponent and yourself. And so, as much as I'm giving you these benchmarks and these timings and stuff like that, you really just focus on yourself as a player. And like I said earlier, don't be afraid to lose games. Don't be afraid to take battles, even if take like dicey battles. Honestly, don't be afraid to attack on creep. Sometimes you gotta practice at some point, because you see these Koreans and they're attacking on creep like gods, and you're like, holy shit, that's crazy. Like, how do they do that? They're so good. You know how they do it? Because they're losing like 10 ladder games. They're deciding to attack on creep, and while everyone thinks, geez, that's stupid, why the hell would you do that? You're gonna lose all your games. That's why they know how to control, because they lost so many games. You only truly win if you lose. But anyway, guys, that's it for me. I don't know what the next video will be. I will most likely touch upon late game TvZ specifically, since we were kind of starting on this TvZ route, and then I'll go from there. Another thing, I'll be making a Bronze to Masters series. Similar to Filters, I've been watching his videos. I really like the way he did it, and I'm gonna start doing that. I don't know when exactly. I actually gotta tank my account with Bronze. That's gonna take me freaking ever, but I want to do it super quick. What I'll most likely do is play the games on stream, and then I'll make a YouTube video about basically a summary of what I touched upon in that specific day's stream into one. So for people who didn't watch it, or for people who just want to like a too long whatever, I don't know. But yeah, Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the channel, please subscribe. I'll be cranking out videos probably once or 2 times a week. And I know this video wasn't that great, but I'll definitely be improving, and I'll definitely appreciate if you guys give me some critique. But anyway, guys, have a